Hi, Diana. I see you there. You can keep your video off if you need to. Okay, gotcha. I saw your mouth moving. You're good. I believe it is now 5:30. And even more importantly, I believe we have a quorum. Is that correct? I have David, Diana, myself, and Brian. I do not know if Marianne or Kevin were going to join on. Does anybody else have a clue?
No.
I do not.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we've got a quorum, so that's what the important part is. So I will call the meeting to order. Normally for CCS, we do not have public comment, but I will, Laurel, I see you on here. So if you wanted to say anything or I don't think there's any other residents. Did you have any comments, Laurel?
Laurel disappeared.
Oh, okay. I see her there. Okay.
Oh,
There she is. Okay, she went to the right on my screen.
It's like I see her name there. Laura, did you have any comments? I know you you had sent an email to us regarding downtown holiday decorating, which is why it's on our agenda.
Now
Okay, I see your thumbs up, but I don't hear you're muted. So are you good?
I think she wants to talk. If we're
Okay.
going to mute her.
All right, I just said ask to unmute. You should be able to unmute yourself.
okay. It was saying I couldn't unmute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't have actually much to say other than thank you for throwing this on the agenda, and mostly it's just to kind of hear thoughts and any research done, and wondering if there's anything more I could do or if this just isn't the appropriate venue. So it's more of just me listening, I think, more than anything. So thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you. Then on that note, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian.
I'll second.
Thank you, David. Review and approve prior minutes. CCS minutes for 1/21/2020 and 9/18/2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, David. These again were already reviewed beforehand. Any comments regarding these?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and I will admit, there we go. Then the next is on to financials. So Brian, you want to run through financials?
Yeah, I mean, the real story here is we've got cash of $104,000. We didn't have a 4th of July event, so really, we've got a little bit of posh pooch type stuff, but this is about as straightforward and boring as straightforward and boring can be. We've got the $20,000 contribution from CJC, which is a combination of Canoa for 5 and Proa for 15, but the rest of it just flows simply. We do have 2,700 of expense in there for the 4th of July, which when we get to Founders Day, I'll talk about for a minute.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments from Diana, or I think is there anybody else that's on from the board? Diana, David, Brian? Okay.
No.
Any comments or questions?
Straightforward and boring, as Brian said.
We like that. Then we will go ahead and go on to the CCS 2021 budget. Do I have a motion to approve the CCS 2021 budget?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
It's either Diana or me. I'll go for it. So we can discuss.
Okay, thank you. I guess I can second it too. I figured I'm running it. I might as well let somebody else talk about it. Any other comments regarding the budget, Brian?
Yeah, I would like to make a couple of comments, please. So what I've laid on here is the 2020 budget, the way it was, even though, so for example, you can see the 4th of July at 62,174 of expenses as an example. And we all know it didn't happen due to COVID. So when you look at 2021, 1,500 in grants, no big deal. Founders Day, there's actually an attachment behind this. Actually bounce to the attachment behind this, whoever's running the machine, and let's go through it for a second. Okay, right here. And I need to get all the faces out of the way. Okay, so as a reminder, when we did CROA and when we did CCS, we took the Thursday and Friday events and said they benefit the community as a whole. We looked at Friday and said it was basically a community event, which is how we divided this between CROA and CCS. When you look at, and I'm going from memory since this is such small print, when you look at Thursday, we were having a race and all kinds of stuff, which we know will bring in the whole community and stuff like that. On Friday, on Saturday, we're having a band and we're having fireworks and all that other type of stuff. So that was the thought process. So you can see in the CCS column, the 4,800 of revenue and the 56,000 of expenses. We discussed this during the CROA budget, and bounce back up to the other one if you can, please, Patrick. So that really just kind of replaces what we had out there for the 4th of July in 2020. Now, one of the things I thought, I have a note at the bottom of this page, because when Kevin has brought up a couple of times that, we paid $2,700 and Lexan did not reimburse any of that and they were the sponsor. Legally, I think we have no chance of forcing Lexan to do anything. I think when we're talking about 2020 from a contractual standpoint, what I think we should be doing in 2021, and I'd like us to, as a CCS board, empower Neil, Susanna, and JR to go down this path, is I'd like to see Lexan and Experience Kissimmee throw in some money. It's going to bring we all know this is going to crowd the downtown. It's going to be a nice event for celebration and all that other type of stuff. I think it's worth asking for a little money because Kanoa, the restaurants and everything downtown is going to benefit. So I think this is a much smarter, forward-looking way of getting some funding back. So I'd like the board to comment on that for a minute, because I think this is, well, I've explained myself. I think this is the way to go.
David, did I see your hand up? Or
No.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. If anybody has any comments, go ahead.
So
Diana,
the comment I would make is all of this makes sense in a normal world. If we're in the same pandemic, and I don't think we will be, but if we're in the same situation pandemic wise 12 months from now, first of all, God help us all. But I would not want to see an event that brings a lot of people into town. So that said, I think what Brian's saying is, yes, it's going to bring a lot of people, but at that point, we're assuming vaccine out, a lot of issues will be addressed and crowds would be okay. So I'm assuming that.
Well, so we had this conversation, we went over CROA, so we've already covered all these bases. Mm-hmm. From the perspective of COVID, this will happen unless COVID is out of control. I saw JR is on. We have a COVID out. If everything is shut down because of COVID, yeah. We're running risk here. But on the other hand, just a year from now, and Pfizer and Moderna and a couple others are all running with a vaccine, as we know. Right. Do I think we'll be 100% business as usual by November of next year? No. But if we're pretty darn close, and if we're not doing anything normal a year from now, God help us, we're going to have much bigger problems in CCS because it's going to be hitting the economy hugely.
Exactly.
So that is the thought process, which is why I would like to ask us to have some management approach Lexan and Experience Kissimmee now, because they should benefit. Let's get some funding to help offset some of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Reserve CCS funds for the future.
And those people are gonna, if we have Founder's Day, people are gonna come for this 3-day event. So let's get help because everybody benefits. Diana,
Thank
you
you.
have thoughts?
Yeah, my thought, I agree with what David said. As long as there's a COVID out and we have, it's not a harm to ask at this point for the funding. If we get it and everything goes on as planned, I think we're on the right path. But as long as there's a caveat there that we may have to make changes. So I agree.
All right, JR, you're out there somewhere. I saw. Confirm I'm correct and heard you. We do have a COVID out. I think that's the only out we have, but we have that.
We do for what we have right now. I just want to clarify something regarding Experience Kissimmee. The only type of funds from Experience Kissimmee is marketing money that is available. They don't pay for any administrative, operational, anything like that. And they did not award grants this year. So the next grant cycle for Experience Kissimmee will be grants awarding October 1 of 2021, which means if they are accepting grants, we would put in a grant proposal in June.
Well, the worst they can do is say no if we ask. So I'm willing to ask, and Lexington certainly will benefit. I'm willing to ask Lexington if the board.
Sure, yeah, I mean, yeah, as far as Lexington, I agree.
Very good. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Just a question, because I don't understand it. For the Posh Pooch, if it was $92.50 for 20, and I know, that was COVID related, why is it a lower budget for 21? Is it because of carry forward or something else?
There were no grants awarded. There were no grants awarded from Experience Kissimmee. So that's revenue. We used to get about $7,500 in marketing advertising grant. Experience Kissimmee did not award any grants this year because of COVID.
So our budget for 21 is only 1,500? Oh, I'm sorry, that's
Right.
revenue. I'm sorry, I'm in the
That's
wrong.
revenue.
I'm sorry, I was reading that as expenditure. My apologies.
And you'll notice that expenses went down too some. So it sounds like not dollar for dollar. I mean, Posh Pooch is not a money maker. It's never been a money maker. You could argue, why are we doing it? But the dog lovers love it, and
It's an experience. It's an experience. I mean, it's an experience.
So any other comments regarding this? I think it's fair to say that whether we talk in CCS terms or in CROA terms, I think we're full steam ahead with our contracts. I mean, I'll discuss this during CROA also. Our contracts for the Recreation Committee, they're recommending that we renew all of these, but it's going to be ultimately up to the board whether or not we want to say, yes, go ahead and do it, or you need to make X, Y, or Z modifications in order to make sure that we are compliant with whatever the CDC recommendations may be at that time.
Yeah. And the only other comment, I know we talked about this during the CROA budgeting process, but just to make this crystal clear, we are looking at no fireworks July 4th, 2021.
that is a correct statement.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here.
Just to
That's
clarify,
on the
we're not going to fireworks on July 4th, not.
that's on the agenda. So we're going to get there on that.
Well, if we're going to approve the budget, then.
Oh, God, I see what you're saying. Okay. So what are you asking then?
He's just confirming that statement, and the answer is yes. We move fireworks from the 4th of July to Founder's Day intentionally.
And it specifically is not on the budget, which is why I wanted to clarify that. It says 0 on that budget.
That is a correct statement.
It's almost like we need the motion of item number, whatever it is, 8, to cancel the fireworks.
We did that. No, we never.
We already did it.
And when we approved CROA, we said we weren't going to have a 4th of July also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do that. I think we're okay doing the budget. Let's just go
That's
through
fine,
because
I'm fine.
okay. We need to be 7 minutes or 12 minutes. So
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Thank you.
I'm fine.
Do I have a motion then?
Yes, I think Brian made the motion.
I already made it. David seconded it.
Perfect. Okay. Any further discussion regarding the budget as presented?
No.
Diana, you're good?
Yes.
Okay. Then I will do a quick call of the vote. Brian, yes or no? David?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
And I don't think Marianne or Kevin are on yet, correct? I
No.
just want to make sure I don't miss them. Okay, I just don't want to miss them. Okay, very good. Motion passes for the budget. Do I have a motion to approve the 2019-2020 audit engagement?
I'll
So
make the
moved.
motion. Or
Oh,
Diane made
thank
it.
you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Diana. Brian, second.
Okay,
Discussion?
let me make one comment here. We're not doing an audit. What we're doing is a financial review. We were trying to save money. The finance committee wanted me to specifically ask the board, do we really want an audit? Is it value added, or is it just a waste of $3,000? We have now got CCS. We don't have a responsibility for an audit. There are so few transactions that if they do a review, they'll review every single transaction and it'll take them no time at all. Is there value added?
Brian, do you mind if I share my feedback?
Yep.
I think when that question came up, my response to the committee and yourself was, no, it doesn't actually have any monetary value, but I think for the benefit of our homeowners and transparency and keeping within best practices, it's a good investment. And but no, we're not going to get the and you know this, but we're not going to get a lot of value from it, but we are going to get evidence that we're looking at third-party people to protect our homeowners' investments and assets.
Thank you, Neil. Any other comments or questions? I think for those of us that were on the board a couple of years ago with the whole CCS debacle, I think just making sure that the residents have the confidence that the numbers that are there for a reason. I'm personally, I hear what the committee's saying, but I think that just to make sure that we're all on the same page, is it a great investment? I think that can be questionable, but I think I feel personally like we need a couple more years of just getting trust back before we go and discontinue it. That's my personal opinion on this. I'll open this up to any board comment.
This would come out of this year's budget, 2020 budget, correct?
It's the 1920. It's a 2-year review. It'll come out of this year's funding.
Yeah, and 3250 is what we'd be approving.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it covers 2 years. I think it builds us, going back to Vanessa's point, it builds us building on credibility, regaining that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions before I call the vote? Okay, I'll call the vote. Diana, yes or no?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Brian?
No.
And any other, I think maybe just making sure that Diana or that Marianne and Kevin are not on. Okay, then I'm a yes. So 3 yeses, 1 no. Totally understand it though, Brian. Thank you. And the motion to approve the D&O insurance policy for 20. Thank you. Any other comments? Or I guess I need a second. Sorry about that. Moving on. I'm trying to get in this.
I'll second.
Okay, just for the sake of the group, this is totally immaterial, but CCS needs its own insurance by law, so that's what we're doing.
Any other comments or questions?
As a specialist, I mean, Brian, this looks good.
Yep, this is good.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just for full disclosure, Brian reviewed both for CROA, CJC, and for CCS. So yeah, he's got it all. He got the whole packet. Thank you very much, Brian, for reviewing that with your expertise. It's greatly appreciated.
The attachment says joint committee. Does that matter?
Joint committee does not pay this one. This one is paid out of CCS. So it's different than the other. The joint committee approved yesterday.
Right. Okay.
What is the CCS part of this? What's the CCS?
It's a nonprofit.
And it's 300, the money is $428, but it's D&O for the officers of CCS.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
as Brian said, CJC and Kanoa approved their components yesterday, and then CROA will have its later on. So yeah, it's, you guys are not last, but anyway.
Call the vote.
I echo what
We're
Brian
running out
said.
of time.
Then Brian, yes or no?
Yep.
David?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Any other board members yet?
No.
Nope. And I'm a yes. Okay. Motion to cancel the financial contributions for 4th of July in 2021. Do I have a motion? Even though we already passed the budget. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
Diana.
Thank you, Diana. Motion second. Further conversation or questions regarding 4th of July?
Call the vote.
Brian, yes or no?
Yep.
Diana?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Still nobody else on the call? Nope. Okay, and I'm a yes. All right. Discussion of the downtown holiday decorating. We received an email from Laurel, just kind of to recap, how can we use CCS funds for the good of the community, good or greater community, and how do we want to work this? Is this something that we, as a CCS board, want to do? Are we interested? How do we feel about decorating property that's not ours?
Can I make a comment? And I'll do this at CROA also. At the CDD meeting yesterday, CDD agreed to pay Lexon to put the decorations up on the Esplanade and other places that are CDD property to take them down. And then there is going to be a project in January through March of 2021 to come up with a long-term approach to how this is handled. And CROA and CCS will be invited to be part of that project. So I don't think it's an issue we have to resolve this year, and we'll be part of the project in the first quarter of next year.
Perfect. So it's something that will be ongoing. That's good. Thank you very much. And I think because it's everybody, I think that's a good way to doing it. Is there any comments or questions or anything like that? Laurel, I do want to open it up. I know that we've got just a quick comment. Did you want to say anything else since this was something you had brought up? You're good?
I don't even
You're
see
muted.
But she's still
muted.
there. Yes, okay, I see her.
You're good?
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
You have to
Okay.
click something and then I can be unmuted. Obviously a lot of this will take place later. So because that was coming up and sounds like maybe there was conversation or coordination with the other boards, was no research done to date or any opinions formed to date? Was it just kind of shelved altogether? It would just be interesting to know, or do we just wait until the next, when it's a full committee or whatever?
We had not done a lot of work ourselves. We were waiting to see what CDD was doing. They had, you'll be able to see it when you watch the tape of yesterday. They had conversation for a while. They went back and forth and they reached a compromise, which was, because it's the middle of November, just get through this year end. But then there was a very strong opinion that this needs not to come up like this every single year forever, which is why there's going to be a project in January through March of next year to solve it once and for all, and then we'll be at the table with that project.
Well, then I guess.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Laurel.
Ask when, so that I don't miss it. Is the project as part of a CDD meeting, or is the project going to be almost like a separate one, to join in for residents?
I don't. The answer is I don't know. It'll be a CDD organized project, and then once we know what's going on there, I don't know if they'll workshop or how it'll be organized. Can I make a suggestion? We have our next CCS meeting date that we need to schedule. Perhaps that would be a good time to regroup and find out what direction we want to go with this. I think by then we'll have more insight. And my reason for doing that is because I think our next CCS meeting, there's nothing else that we need to do other than wrap up this board and move into the next board. So we kind of always do a wrap up in either January or February before the next board moves in. Is there anything else that CCS needs to do before the end of the year? I think we've got it all done now. Is that correct, Neil and Susanna? This was everything we needed for CCS?
Yes, I don't see anything on for any type of future meetings. We were wondering if you want to schedule these quarterly in 2021 or as needed.
I think with Brian, and I'll open this up to, here we go, here's Kevin. I'll open this up to the whole board as to if you do you want to do one in February, or do you want to just wait till the new board comes in?
I think we ought to do them quarterly, and if they're short and sweet, they're short and sweet, but it's a good discipline. our
do you think February, that
Let's do one in February.
Yeah,
our next CROA board meeting is February 24th.
I think that's when we do it.
Okay,
Right?
so then let's do our CCS board meeting at 5:30 on February the 24th, which is just prior to the CROA board. Is that reasonable, board?
Perfect.
Excellent. Is there anything else that is outstanding business that we need to handle before adjourning?
Vanessa, other than
Yes.
the items on this agenda from our last meeting, ironically, Laurel's on the call, was CCS wanting to institute PPE stations downtown. Mike, do you want to just give us an update, and not that it's closed out because it'll be perpetual for a while, but just update us on what you guys did to execute that?
Perfect. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mike. You're on mute if you're talking. Let's see here. Ask to unmute. You should be good now, Mike. Go ahead and click unmute.
There we go. Thank you,
There we go.
Patrick. All right.
Actually, it's Vanessa.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I know. Thank you,
You're
Vanessa.
good.
Patrick
You're good.
unmuted me, or whoever did. Thank you. All right. Regarding the PPE stands, we were able to get them out by the third farmers market that we had. The second one, we didn't have the boxes yet, but we were able to get out the hand sanitizers. While we did have the stands out, we had 3 stands at the main entrances at the top of Market and down at the bottom. The masks were used, but not much. I had each one had a box of 50 in it, and by the third one, I had to replace one. So unfortunately, I did not have numbers for each event on how many masks were used, but over the 3 that they've been out, not many. But they are there. They have been used. The hand sanitizer is definitely used more than the masks. I was not at the last farmer's market to get a visual on it, but the previous one I was, and it seemed like everybody was social distancing and wearing masks with of course, the 1 or 2 offshoots. But I mean, they are out there. They are being used. But beyond that, I really don't have any more. And I apologize. I mean, any more information.
You're good. We just what we needed to know was that it was up and running and being used. So we're good. Thank you very much, Mike. Is there anything? Thank you, Laurel, for your text on that. I appreciate it. Any other questions or comments before we adjourn? Because we need to log off this and log into a new meeting for our CROA board meeting.
So is it actually a different dial-in?
I'm sorry, what was that? Yeah, it's a different, we have to, because they're different entities. So each entity we have a new meeting. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Anything else with regards to, thank you, Brian. Any other, do you have a second?
David,
David, is that a second? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned. I'll see you at the next one for CROA. Thank you all.
Bye.